right, enough Super Cup. Let's go to the League Cup here in England. First semi-final on Tuesday. Middlesbrough from the Championship against Chelsea. And I'm going to get you on it, Robbo, because Borough emerged as 1-0 victors. Jules and I have very specific thoughts about Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea were anywhere near, and I've been very critical of the way Chelsea have played this season. I don't think they're anywhere near as bad as people remember them, or people think, or anywhere near as bad as they've been in other games, including games that they've won. There haven't been many. I thought in this game, if Cole Palmer puts his chances away, Borough have to open up, and then that's it. To me, it was more the idea that, we haven't scored, Borough are defending well, and then things get more and more chaotic.
I think
Am I being too kind to
You're being
watch?
too kind, I think,
Okay,
because the chances that came Cole's way were almost given to them by Middlesbrough. A couple of poor passes. Howson tried to play across to the fullback, and Palmer intercepted it and should have scored. There was another one that they lost possession, trying to play out from the back, Middlesbrough, and it came to Palmer. But what I can't understand with Chelsea, I don't understand what their philosophy is, what they're trying to do, the lack of tempo in their game, how they're going to break down opposition. Have they got a game plan to break down the opposition? It just seems to be a little bit tepid, a little bit. There's times when Thiago. So I'm thinking, watching the game as a commentator and as a former coach, thinking you've got to play with more tempo, got the ball forward quicker, get it into the front areas. And there's Thiago Silva saying to everybody, "Calm down, let's keep the ball round the back." I'm not sure what the philosophy is.
Maybe if you'd played until 39, you would have been going like this a lot.
When Pochettino came to Southampton, when he first came to Southampton, everybody could see, look at that style of football. This is what he wants from the team. He then got the Tottenham job and did exactly the same there and made a big impact very early on. I don't see that impact at the moment with Chelsea.
I think together with Ancelotti, Pochettino, and maybe there's something in it because they both have a very vague physical roundedness, right? I don't think there's another manager who has changed so much from his early days.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they can still do the high press, high tempo game, but this Pochettino is nothing like the guy who was at Southampton.
Exactly.
But is that by design? But presumably he says, like, okay, we won't play at this higher pace because we want to play around you. We want to, presumably that's the plan?
It is, but if you're playing against any side, you still have to do it with pace. And there's times when you work the ball, you pass the ball to create an overload somewhere on the field, or you get somebody that's got a bit of time on the ball. They do that, get somebody with time on the ball, and then instead of making the most of that time on the ball, they then come back and play out from what they've just achieved. And that's what I don't understand. As a coach, you'd be saying to the player, now you've got yourself turned, you've got yourself in an open position, now be more positive.
So Chelsea had about a zillion players unavailable for this game, as it feels like they've had most of the season. And what gets me a bit about this is I look at all these guys who are missing. And yes, if you'd have Fit and Kunku all season, presumably go straight into the side.
Yeah.
Broja and Mudryk were actually the only two senior players they had on the bench. The rest were kids.
Yep.
Sanchez is out, but I think, frankly, it's much of a muchness between him and Petrovic, right?
Yep.
Reece James is obviously missing, and if
Yep.
he were fit all season, which he hasn't been for a long time, then presumably he'd be an automatic choice. I couldn't think of anybody else who I would say, they really missed him. We're talking about really missing somebody who's generally injured for a very long time and somebody who's hardly played for the club. That, to me, is the real worry here.
Yeah.
Because the guys who are out there are essentially, most of those guys are your starters.
Yeah. And you look at players that everybody was talking about when he was at Brighton, Caicedo. You saw him as a high-energy player that could do both sides of the game, was dynamic. I'm seeing a player that's very average at the moment. He's not playing badly, but he's very average. Enzo Fernandez, a World Cup winner, who, when he was playing for Benfica, could make forward runs, would defend well, pass it well. Again, he's doing okay.
Is there a leadership
He's not doing
thing?
anything exceptional.
Is there leadership in the team? Should the players be urging each other to do better? Because I also wonder, if you know there's nobody competing for your job because everybody's injured, do you sometimes say, all right, let me pace myself a little bit? Does that actually happen at professional level?
It can do, but I don't think that's the case. I just don't think they realise the urgency of situations. I did the game also when they played Preston. The first half against Preston was pathetic almost. If you were a Chelsea fan, you would say, what are we trying to achieve here? We've got 80% possession, but we're creating one or two chances or getting one or two shots away in the whole of the first half. It all changed when they scored the first goal in the second half. But there was a lack of urgency.
So they've got 90 minutes to turn it around. If you were a betting man, you still expect them to, right?
Yeah. So if they
because
could score
Middlesbrough, I discovered that that's where Michael Carrick was.
Yeah.
I think they had a lot of guys missing as well.
Yeah.
And it looked like they said, all right, anything we get out of this game is gravy.
And I got to say, the difference in athleticism between Chelsea's players and Middlesbrough's players was ginormous. And I don't think they'd be able to cope with that intensity in the second game.